This conference will now be recorded.
So we'll call the February 23rd County of Otsego IDA Board meeting to order. Roll call, Megan, please.
Carol Robinson is absent. David Rowley.
Here.
Jeff Lord.
Here.
Tom Romeo.
Here.
Craig Gelbman is absent. Patricia Kennedy.
Here.
Jeff Joyner is absent. Andrew Marietta is absent. Jim Stewart.
Here.
Caller 1. Who's on the call?
I think that's me, Joe Scott. Good morning, everyone. I did try to go to log on by audio video, but I had some problems, but I'm on the phone. Good morning, everyone.
Morning,
Good
Joe.
morning, Joe. Hi, Joe. We will forego the chair's remarks. Executive session.
We're going to forego the executive session at the beginning.
Okay. Next on the agenda, approving the approval of minutes from the December 15th, 2022 meeting. Motion for approval.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And approval of meeting minutes from the annual meeting of February 7th, 2023. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Thanks. Second, Patricia. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Report of the Audit and Finance Committee and Treasurer.
I was not at the last meeting, but the minutes, which were distributed to all, will serve as the report.
Does anyone have questions about the minute from the Audit and Finance Committee meeting? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Jim, thanks. Second?
Second.
John? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Bills and communications.
The largest bill is from Philadelphia Insurance for our umbrella liability policy that always sits in the beginning of the year. And everything else, everything on there is pretty standard. The deposit total a little bit more than our expenses for February. And usual on the other side. IOXIS does continue to be a monthly.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
IOXIS continues to be a monthly. Their payment that we received in February is actually
That's a non-language.
And we can assume they're aware of that.
yes, they are.
Before the 7th.
Yeah.
Any questions on the expenses or the funds? Give me a motion to approve those.
The move.
Thanks, Jeff. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Report of the project committee.
You have those minutes as well?
Yeah.
They're pretty self-explanatory. You're now the chairman. Yes. So I don't know if you want to get on it.
Well, just for the minutes, and we got them yesterday to read, and so nothing new and exciting, unfortunately.
You're gonna, under new and unfinished business, you're gonna talk about the update in Richfield Springs, which we'll forego that discussion under projects. Any other questions about the minutes from the project committee? Motion.
The move.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. New and unfinished business.
We finally have a resolution for the remote access policy. We just hold a public hearing again on it. And we've discussed this at length for the last 3 months. So
Any discussions about that? Pretty much, we're not We do not have free will completely on how we deal with that. Based on state of the north, so.
What we've written has in compliance with the state, right? So
Yes.
It just gives you the extenuating circumstances, basically.
For now.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah, what are those circumstances?
It's in the policy, there's about 7, but
Yeah.
if you're unable to be here for some reason, then you're able to log in, but you're still not counted towards a quorum, so. But you're able to vote. So assuming there's someone here who might abstain from the vote, which would make it so that a resolution wouldn't pass, then you're able to vote. That would really be the only way.
You can't be part of the quorum,
that's
but
going to sound that
it seems counterintuitive.
I'm not sure I can keep that all in one head without it blowing up.
It's complicated, yeah.
On a snowy morning, anybody and anybody should be able to count as a quorum,
Yeah.
zooming in, if.
We still need to have a physical quorum here at the office.
It's smarter heads prevail, but that's not.
So as long as you have a quorum in the office,
You can.
somebody abstains and doesn't give you the quorum.
Then that person who is, they have to have an extenuating circumstance for why they're.
Right,
why
that's gonna
they're
be one of
not- Yeah, it
those.
has to be one of those. And you don't have to say what it is. You can just say that the board acknowledges,
For life.
yeah, the board acknowledges that that person has one.
If you're in the ER, we're gonna have to debate whether that's extenuating or not. I think we killed that horse again. Any
So-
questions? Do you
So
need,
just you have to have a quorum physical
Physically.
person. And if someone abstains, then that
That's
person,
really the only.
they would vote, then they would be, their vote would count
Then another vote.
under those circumstances.
Yeah, they could also, I mean, they could technically vote on matters too. If you have a quorum here, their vote would count, and would
Basically,
be
votes
considered
count
absent.
regardless,
If it's
as long as the
secured,
physical quorum.
As long as you have a physical.
physical quorum, correct.
Ludicrous. Anyway, do we need a motion to
We just need a motion to approve that resolution.
so move?
Thank you.
second? Second from Jim, all in favor? Aye. Joy?
We now have a resolution to amend the Otsego Now Employee Handbook to include language required by the New York State Labor Law. Basically, there's 2 sections in here. One is to actually include the state language, what they recommend for the Family Leave Act, to be actually included in our manual. And the second is that looking to reimburse employees 100% of their salary, will be reimbursed by 67%.
Through insurance.
Sorry.
Through insurance.
I did send us earlier email to everybody explaining why I'm wanting to do that.
Questions? I have a motion to approve the resolution. I'm assuming we need to approve it.
It's kind of odd because Cheryl indicated that it's my decision, and the more I look at it, it's not really, it's a policy change, so I think it's a full board decision. There'll be a subsequent discussion probably next month on holidays, because we're going to be removing one holiday and how we calculate sick time, personal time, and vacation time.
Yeah, the removal was an okay day, correct? And June, what was the addition?
Juneteenth. And that's why we discussed it in-house, and it's sort of like President's Day took the place of Washington's birthday and Abraham Lincoln's birthday. So we're looking at June 13th, and we're recommending taking out Martin Luther.
It's interesting because school districts cannot have school on MLK Day.
Right.
That can't have school if you did, it doesn't count as a day. But anyway. That doesn't work the same in private.
So then any policy change requires a resolution, or do you just present the policy and amend it rather than having resolution?
Yeah, it's just an amendment, really.
Yeah.
And I would recommend we do a resolution because it's actually changing one of our policies.
That's what I'm saying, policies should be changed all the time as things, so you don't want to have a resolution every time you do a policy
Just a
change.
motion.
You can amend the policy and have it approved by the board rather than resolution.
Okay.
As far as the holidays.
Yeah, for any,
For any policy.
policy change, you really can just present the policy, amend it, approve it by the board. I suppose, that's my governance.
Motion to approve amending the Otsego Now's employee handbook as per the note in your packet.
And so moved.
Thank you.
Second,
I'll second it.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Discussion on pyramid brokerage proposal.
Okay.
Pyramid mall.
Just
Yeah, we did.
If I can make another suggestion, what's really helpful with policy changes is to have the
Before
old
and after.
policy, have it read through, and then put the new one in, and then you don't have to explain it, it's self-explanatory.
Agreed.
I've done that. It's just that the policy manual is 60 pages long.
Yeah, the.
Just pull the extra,
Policy,
yeah.
Not the entire one. So you have the holiday policy, and you present that with the cross out of Martin Luther King and the addition.
And the addition. Okay,
Okay.
Yeah, that's just a quicker, easier way to understand it.
what you're doing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You may recall, Craig had a discussion with a gentleman from Pyramid Brokerage out of, well, he's actually out of, I think, Amsterdam. But the main company, I think, is in Syracuse, to look at doing marketing on our business parks. Jeff Armoire, and from Pyramid Brokerage, came down. He had a meeting with myself and Jeff Joyner. At the time, we were looking at using a different firm to do our marketing. And so,
Is that the firm that was recommended by the railroad guys?
yes.
Yeah.
Now, since that happened, there's been a lot of changes. The person that we recommended going with, he became ill and he's not with the company anymore. Two of his partners approached me and says, well, we can handle it. I said, well, can you give me a proposal within the next week or so? They never got back to me.
This is the original company.
So when Jeff and I met with this Jeff from Pyramid Brokerage, we thought we were going to get into contract with somebody else for our two other business partners. So Jeff suggested to Pyramid Brokerage, well, why don't you market the soccer fields? And if we get somebody who's interested in buying it, we'll make a decision whether to sell it or not. So in full disclosure, I talked to Cheryl yesterday and she was like, are you crazy? And I said, well, it wasn't really my suggestion. It came from,
You just run with crazy people.
so, and I
So
hope,
let me just ask you a question. Now, they wouldn't, we don't really have a contract with them.
No.
Correct, but they would market just the soccer fields, not the business parks?
they,
They want to get.
I asked them to look at all three, because we never heard back from them.
The other company, the other company's out because they never gave us a proposal. End of story.
So let's be clear. You asked them to look at the industrial park, soccer field, and Richfield Springs.
And the rail,
Oh, the rail yards, not Richfield.
they said the rail yards are too complicated at the present time because of lack of electric and natural gas. And they really didn't, and the wetland issue. They thought that, why don't they start with the only business park,
The proposal covered that though. The
the rail.
rail yards.
Yeah, they had, yeah, no.
So, and we went back and forth on that for about a week with their expert railroad person. And I gather they finally included it. The question that I raised with them is that we do have somebody who's interested in one of our sites and the only on business. And will they still charge their 7% fee if we're the people who brought it? And they said usually yes, but they're willing to discuss it.
No, usually no. If you have a client you've been talking to, usually you reserve them.
That's correct.
Right at the beginning.
So, what I told Cheryl was, I don't have a resolution for this or a form of a vote, but I want to have a discussion as to what we're going to do on the soccer fields. Cheryl was pretty adamant that that's a community asset that we would not like to sell.
I think it would send shudders through the community.
That's
They knew
the
that was
first
on the
thing
market.
that we wanted to sell it. I
Yeah.
didn't realize
Well,
that.
time out though. We're not committing to selling it.
Yeah.
We're committing to have them maybe bring someone to the table that might be interested. We can say no. Right?
And that's what I said to Cheryl. I referenced the section that
Yeah, it's in their lease, that,
it's in our lease that we have the right to sell it, we give them 90 days notice. There's a clause in there that we've got to reimburse them for any capital improvements.
Right.
But she was pretty adamant about it.
Why would they, I mean, that would send a pretty strong message to them that,
Yeah.
that we're not, that we're
Not
looking
committed.
to break that lease at some. And then once you lose them, it would, I mean, I think at the end of the day, it would be blamed on the IDA for pushing them out. That's just my perception, so I'm
I
not.
think that would be
I'm not
everybody's
supportive of it.
perception.
But I mean, it's conceivable because of what you have going on with the parks, baseball. You could have somebody that wants to come in there and run that as a summer soccer camp and, you know,
Right.
bring in kids from all over Northeastern United States or wherever. So that would be, I would not be against something like that. The issue is that we have a lot of local use of that from different schools. You know, and like you have the Delaware League and Tri Valley Championships are usually played there, and they bring in thousands of people.
Yeah.
Would they still be eligible to do those kinds of things? So we're so far away from that. But anyway, so
But I think it's an interesting point you bring up.
Right.
That if it engage them in what is the future and how can we grow that? Because it was large years ago. How can we grow that and how can we do that together to meet your needs and expand the, you know,
well, to go back to
the
John's point,
programs? But I don't
It could
think
be-
you do it in exclusion.
right? It's somebody, Mr. Thomas, wants to come in and bulldoze and put a warehouse there. But it could be somebody. So we have the right to say yes or no. But I'm like, how are we working with this company? I mean, are we working with them or?
We're talking.
It's a listing.
No,
Huh?
It's just, it's a listing, right? We keep calling it marketing, but it's a listing.
Okay. Yeah.
So basically what they would do, and I will clarify this with them, that we have the right to refuse anybody, I assume that.
Of course.
But they get 7% of the sales price,
Which 7%
which
is
is,
better than
which is
0.
high, usually it's 6%.
Well, 6% is residential. Commercial can run up to 10.
So back to the issue of the ball field, the soccer fields and all the property that we own. One of the things that strikes me is that somewhere in our organization, we have to have a purpose of what we're doing with what.
Yep.
And I don't have a fund meter, so, and I don't understand a game where you run for an hour and a half and get 2 points. I'm sorry, but you know, basketball, football, I would understand. Soccer, it's okay. My grandkids do it. They love it. They watch it. Two goals. Whatever. Anyway, but it's good for kids, it's good for the community. I mean, my grandchildren in Colorado drive 4 hours to play a soccer tournament. I mean,
Yeah.
it's good for the community. It's all good. You know, we ended up with this, not because we wanted to build a soccer field, but in a transition of property, we end up with it. I mean, if we could sell it to somebody who was in a soccer promotion business, who wanted to spend it, I would understand it. But as much as I'm, you know, a capitalist of the first generation, I don't I would, it would be hard to talk me into bulldozing it and using it for whatever somebody wants. I don't think that we're being responsible with the asset we currently hold. But my point being, we have to agree on a purpose. That's what it's for. That property, we hold it for the soccer and growing soccer. You know, the slots we have down in any of our industrial parks are for the purposes listed here of a business of this type. So whatever anybody wants me to talk about, something we're committed to something else. Now, counter to that is we have been very successful about getting a lot of people to come in. So, but that might be New York State, not us. But I'm not receptive to everything everybody wants to sell me. have some ideas what I'm doing, so when you come to tell me something that's not of my interest, I know that I could spend my time going back to work. So I don't know, in our priorities, I would just suggest that we have an agreement of what asset is committed to what, if that makes any sense. And then have purpose, have order in my head, you know, and what to say yes to, what to say no to.
So basically, what do we want to sell and what do we want to?
And what
we need
more?
help.
Yeah,
And what do we need help. So I'm confused.
Is that simple?
Yes. Simple.
Well, we all agree it's a tremendous asset to the community, right?
Yeah.
I think that one of the things we fiscally have to say is if our mission is going to be, we want to hang on to that, preserve it as that asset for the community, let's make sure it's neutral to us at least.
Financially.
Financially
Yeah, that's
neutral,
what
at
we
least.
can.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make sense to pour a lot of money into a rat hole and never, I mean, unless you want to say 10 grand a year, that's community, that's for the community, we don't care. So have we really looked at,
And what is the size of the hole if there is one?
what, we really looked at it, are we,
I would submit to you this economic impact of soccer tournaments is more than a little. It's not what baseball is, obviously, but I mean, it runs through November a lot of years. I mean, that stimulates commerce. So it's not,
Well, and
interest rate. If we didn't have it, I'd be.
frankly, it's one of the few things that families have to do here.
We're correct.
So it's a lot of value, but you have to understand it.
And the rain and the gloom, so I don't know, Overcast day, you can still play soccer.
Yeah.
We had this discussion 10 years ago, same thing. Someone was pushing us to sell it, list it. And there were people on the board that built it, including Jeff was there, right? You were part of the building of that. Were you?
That was, well, Brian Ray was.
Right. So someone came up on the board and says, listen, if we build them, doesn't mean we can't build them again. If that property is worth the value that it is, something else, the discussion would have to be, can we replicate what's there?
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
Right.
Still, the community needs still gets built, the activity, the sport, the commerce will come in.
But we recently had a discussion about the watering system. And, you know, look, I'm 100% in favor of that complex and what it does, and more importantly, potential is, I remember the days when you drove by there were kids on every field, there were adults from all over the Northeast. We're not there now, we could be back there. So I wouldn't be against somebody that was interested in using that and really promoting that and could actually put some money in it. But we really should take a look at, you know, what is that system? That system's gonna need to be replaced. There's no, you know, they've already got some minor repair to it, correct?
They've done all the sprinkler systems have been replaced.
Yeah, so I mean, we should put a roof on the building, remember that? So, I mean, you can might take a look at that and say, okay, where are we with this facility over the next 5 years?
And I think over the last 5 years, the soccer club's put in probably close to $100,000.
Yeah, yeah, that's great.
They put in 100,000?
Yeah.
Where?
Mainly into the sprinkler systems and replacing some of the pumps at the sprinkler systems.
So it's on stuff you can't see. Okay.
There was I know the cost of maintaining those fields was cut significantly, but they do a fabulous job.
They do?
Those
They do.
fields, I mean, to a
For
certain
volunteer.
unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a huge asset, so.
So keep talking about the brokerage. We know that that's a piece that let's set it aside for a moment.
Yeah.
Set the soccer fields aside for a moment. The rest of it was 7% commission. They gave us a range of what the per acre value would be in both, right? Somewhere between $13,000 and $20,000 an acre, give or take, for both rail yards and industrial park.
But he just said they don't want to do the real.
No, they're doing it.
No, they came back. Yeah, they came back and got it in there. So this is really a listing agreement for them to go list those parcels and try to go sell them. That's what it's not really in my mind, it's not a marketing agreement. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. They'll pop it up on our website and wait to see.
Yeah.
There's There's no cost
This
to
is the
us.
firm that you recommended that we talk.
Pyramid.
My
I
memory,
confirm that the guy itself has local ties. He's done a good job locally for years. That was my,
Yeah, check it out there,
I
Val.
wouldn't know if I ran into him, but I have talked to him, seriously, but I have talked to him. He's pretty talented.
He's under contract with most of the IDAs.
He's done a
the conversations we have had in the last couple of years is, that I recall, is the industrial park was worth $40,000 an acre. We're coming in at 20 to 25. I mean, if an appraisal makes a change, but it's a long way from what I believe we were discussing, talking to other people over time. And if there's a way to relate what we value things for closer to the market moving forward, I would, staying on the new money in the market is always important. I mean, their input is what it is, and sure, if we sell it cheaper, it's easier to sell, and I'm not opposed to anything other than it's new information that's different what we had in here.
What I sent to him was the appraisal we had done only on the business park, and used that as a comparison for what the acreage was worth. So I do think his numbers are a little low on the appraisal.
What about the parcel that there's interest in? Right? You have a company that's interested.
Yes, I think that is I think it was listed for 240,000.
How many acres was that?
1.6, I think.
With no building.
No building.
It's a little more than 25 an acre.
Yeah.
Just saying. No?
I 1 acre and it's 250,000. How many acres? 1.6 acres at 250,000.
That's a little bit more than 25 an acre.
Things have to fit together in my head. One is not like the other, and I have to discuss that.
Well, it
It's
depends.
okay with me. I'm just,
140.
I'm trying to make sense of it. I'm trying to make sense of, the market. It's got to be some level of predictability and something we can learn about what things are worth. And I'm great. If we can sell it for that, I'm all in. That's great. Let's hurry up and get it done. But it seems like if that were the market, it'd be pretty easy to sell it for 25 an acre.
Well, I think we should say to that person that's interested, I'm sorry, we can't take more than 25,000.
Excuse me, I didn't do it.
So the question is about the proposal and the parts of the proposal. So they don't set the price, they make a recommendation.
And
about
we
what
said,
it's worth, and
that's
you
none
don't
of their
have to
business.
set
That part.
anything. So it's just whether we want the guy to.
Well, but also, if you said it seems a little low, I mean, I might have started the conversation with, I'm not, it's not, it's worth more than that.
No one really wants to retain a 7% commission.
No, but we also, what we're trying to sell for, haven't sold much, so, maybe there's something in here we can also learn about what the market drives the marketplace. Every time in transaction, you should learn something.
7% of 240 that they have nothing to do with. It's
Yeah,
like,
that-
forget it.
Joe,
Maybe that's
are you still on the phone?
You went to sleep.
Joe Scott?
Yeah, I'm still on the phone. I'm slow on the mute button.
Oh, okay. One of the questions that we have right now is we're looking to hire a brokerage company to to list our properties. Do we still, when we go to sell a piece of property, have to have it reappraised?
Well, do you have an appraisal now for the properties? Because you are supposed to have an appraisal. And frankly, it's good practice to have it so that as a governmental body, if you get questioned about, well, where did you come up with that price?
We have an appraisal for one industrial park, not for the other,
Well, how old is it?
and it's 5 years old.
Well, I would recommend getting something for all of them, and it doesn't need to be, $100,000 report for each one. With all due respect to Mr. Lord, there's this, concept of the bank appraisal, a drive-by. That's probably, what you want to do is have something reasonable in your file so that if someone says, well, you sold that property for $7,000 an acre, we think it's worth $20,000 an acre. If you have something in your file that says it's worth 7,000, then you've got something to push back. And if you have something in your file that says it's $20,000 an acre, but you sell it for 7, you can still do that as long as you have a reason for doing it. But I would recommend having something in your file to show what the number is. I mean, our IDA clients all the time sell property at a discount of what it's worth because they're trying to stimulate, they're trying to assist, they're trying to incentivize people to do something.
Makes sense to me.
Yes.
So with this, my suggestion based on that comment was that we have the current appraisal updated on the Oneonta Business Park and to have a new appraisal done on the rail yards.
I think we have to establish value somewhere. It has to be a reference point to work from.
Wouldn't you want that? I think that you would want that with kind of.
The difficulty with the rail yards is that it's right now one parcel.
Regardless, it's something to work from. If we give somebody a deal based on what they're gonna do with it, we have this reference point because of this is buying it for 30%, 32% less than what was appraised for because of. Without a reference point, you're picking a number out of the sky in my mind. So someone who's in the business of establishing the value, where do we start?
I assume they would give a per acre
Oh, yeah, correct.
price on it.
The value goes up if you had it subdivided,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
but there's no point in subdividing the rail yards until we know
Right.
who wants to use it.
So did you pay for this? Did we pay for this?
No.
Okay. So, because this is called a broker's price opinion,
Mhm.
which is one way to get a value without going through a formal appraisal. But you didn't pay for this, so it's really, it's them trying to get put the listing agreement together and give your proposal to try to sell it. Okay, so you can update, I think you should update, I think we should all agree to getting it updated.
The buildable acreage is different from the total.
Mhm.
The appraisal should be just on the buildable acreage, should it?
Correct.
That's correct.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're not gonna appraise the one.
No. I think we're in agreement.
All right.
And could I suggest moving forward that we, once again, in my orderly mind, as part of what we continually update and keep current is what are assets worth and what's the market? I mean, every 2 years, 5 years, whatever, not just what we get. Here's the problem, time is death, okay? So if there's an inquiry, then we're going to appraise it and we do this stuff. Now, 6 months later, we talk about selling it. We need to be ready for the market with information that we can defend, and justify the price of what we're selling and not rushing around and it's not you. We're just a discipline as how we approach the marketplace. I wouldn't be nearly as successful with business if I didn't have a plan.
So how old is an old assessment? I mean, how often should we assess?
Yeah, probably every 4 years.
I would, what do you think?
It's different for us because every 18 months, your appraisal's no good
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, that's
in-
kind of
in
what
the
I-
finance world.
In the fluctuations in real estate market, lately especially, yeah.
5 years is too.
Right.
We're agreeing. So you're set.
But try to set that and let's work with that. And if we just choose down the road, we need to tighten it up, we could always adjust, right? But we have some.
So that means we're put any engagement on hold until we figure out what the value is.
Except for, we still have a discussion on the soccer.
I'm not sure.
I don't think there's an appetite to include that in this listing.
And what would we use for a value? Even if, let's say we had that, then what would we use for a value if we hadn't had, an upgraded appraisal? You know what I mean? Because the soccer field includes the access bill.
No, that's a separate parcel.
So are you still talking about listing the soccer fields?
Well, it's in the proposal.
Right.
If their proposal, to me, I would take it out.
Yeah,
I don't.
I agree
Now,
with that. That's a bad signal.
I'd hate to lose control of the soccer field. I do like the idea perhaps, you know, we could think in terms of maybe an operator there that might be able to
Yeah, expand it.
expand it, you know, but still, make sure that our local community.
So I think
Is
it's
served
certainly on hold with the soccer field. We need, you know, updated values, appraisals for the.
And
Jody, correct my memory, but wasn't there another like several acres that, it's near the IAXIS building or behind it or whatever that went with that parcel?
Yes.
I mean, there was a long-term plan when we
They're gonna
tried to sell the original Soccer Hall of Fame that perhaps, you know, try to get some kind of like sneaker manufacturing or something soccer related manufacturing back in there and so on. I thought at one time it was acreage enough to do that. Am I dreaming or is that still?
it goes down to the creek, I believe, doesn't it? All the way down behind.
There's two sections. One is right on Brown Street.
In front of the
large
IAXIS
lot.
building.
And that right now is still part of the IAXIS. We could certainly subdivide that off. And then on the other side of the building, there's another, probably,
On the flat side of the building?
Yeah.
Where it was built to expand that way, right? Yeah.
As you face, it's the right side.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is it enough there to
For a building?
for the building?
Yes. Probably a 20,000 square foot building.
I'd sooner look at that as a potential.
Now, what I would suggest in trying to just finalize the spirit and intent of our conversation, a guy comes in and wants to buy the soccer fields and willing to invest, what would be $1 million probably, to build those soccer fields somewhere else associated. Someone wants to take over 2 million, whatever. You know, I would live, you know, they don't have to be there, but they're an asset to the community and something has to be someplace. You know, I mean, in upstate New York, the idea of somebody wanting to go crazy doing something is not likely. But I would listen to return to kind of some sort, but I just think that's used too much is too good for the kids.
If you talked about, you know, building 4 fields, the quality of those fields with parking, and putting up some kind of clubhouse.
Now it would be.
Forget it, no,
Yeah, those are
be more than
A
that.
lot of money. Around.
those are great fields.
So we're talking about the spaces between, the IAXIS building, Northern Eagle Beverage, right?
For expansion,
Yeah,
that's what Jim was talking about.
so we're looking at the rail yards and we're looking at the business park, basically, and is there any point in doing anything before we can get upgraded appraisals? That's the question.
I think we gotta put a price on it that we're comfortable with first. I mean, and I would certainly encourage them, say, hey, we want to do something with you, but
This
right now,
this is a little odd because you have and these guys are quality. I'm not questioning
no,
that.
they don't.
It's a little odd to have the folks that are selling it give you the value of it. You know, you want a kind of independent value and then go figure it out.
Yeah, person.
And these guys are definitely on the sales end. They're top.
We need someone that look at the property, you know, with our best interests at heart.
It's not the same.
I agree. I think I really like this. I like their proposal, so I would really like to work with this company.
Yeah.
But that's good, so let's move ahead.
We may find they're spot on. I
Yeah,
mean, I don't know.
yeah, exactly.
I think the thing is that his wife is from the Sydney area, so he knows this area.
Yeah.
He's here all the time. That was the.
I think it's great, because the other prospect fell through, right?
I don't know.
The lead that we got from the 2 guys. You know, they've had other issues.
I think so.
Anyway, so I think the consensus is, correct me if I'm wrong, we get upgraded appraisals. And then we have something to work with Pyramid.
Thank you.
So Jim brought up a good point, though. What's the current? I apologize. What's the current? Is it month-to-month lease with IAXIS?
No, we have a yearly lease. It expires in, I think it's April
April.
1st.
of this year.
So we're recommending raising the lease price on that by 6% as well. To coincide with what we just did with IOX or Burr.
Well, Burr will be included in the appraisal, I would assume, right? It's part of the industrial park.
Because we own the property.
We own it.
Yes.
Should we be appraising the IAXIS building if it's on a separate parcel?
I would recommend that, although I asked that 2 years ago and was told by the board, no, we don't want to have it reappraised.
Those people
Well,
are
that was
crazy.
that.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago. I can't remember.
What is it? No, we don't want to do anything. Read our math out.
Because I wanted to have it reappraised when the company from North Carolina actually leased or bought.
Yeah.
I think we want to reappraise it separate.
All right, so we'll have everything reappraised.
And so then setting up a routine that we do it every 4 years.
Or that's
Okay,
4 years, we don't have any property to it's all been sold because of Craig's connection to here. Wouldn't that be great?
Something on the table would be nice.
Yeah.
Let's start with just one.
Just one?
One would be good. We'll just take it from there.
Yeah, one victory.
One. Okay. Just looking for one.
We'll take 93% of any, of something, right? Yeah.
Maybe.
Last topic, unless there's any other discussion.
Well, what about that extra acreage that's near the Axis building? They have no,
Part of the parcel.
yeah, I understand. But is there any, I would keep in the back of your mind about maybe subdividing that as a potential down.
Well, I think what to do in reappraising the IOXIS building, yeah, reappraise the acreage while you're there, looking at potential of what you could do with it. I mean, and anything we can develop, we should be trying to. I mean,
Well, if we take my thought is take the soccer fields
Yes.
off the table.
Correct.
Perhaps add.
Yeah.
So there's a reason for access.
And then space in front of the building, beside the building.
We're probably gonna have to subdivide that property anyway, because I've had some discussions with the town supervisor and the highway superintendent in the town, and we're trying to get them to take ownership of the road that separates IOXIS from the soccer fields. Because right now it's our ownership. And I'm constantly getting, when are we gonna repave the road? And the town is somewhat in agreement that they would like to take ownership and repave it, because they don't want to put money into the IDA, but they're willing to put money into an asset that may assist us.
In the road you turn down into,
I'm sorry?
the road you turn into.
Yeah. Last year, the town fixed some potholes for us on it, but it's got to be.
If that goes, worked out, that would be a good way forward.
Yeah. We learned down in the rail yards. I mean, owning a road is not the best
Yeah.
idea.
Anything else?
Quickly, Richfield Springs, I want to bring everybody up to date on that. The EDA has allowed us to go out to bid on that. They've accepted all of our final design drawings and specifications. I had to send in 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, 8 different reports that they required before they authorized us to bid the thing. It's out to bid. We're using a service that actually identifies all construction companies and sends notices to them and puts it on their webpage, and for
That report it goes on. And
yeah, it's something like that. We did have somebody, so yesterday or the day before, email us and ask us for the bid specs, and we referred them to how to get the specs from the zoning. We're expecting to have a contractor's inspection of the site sometime in early March, and bids are due back at the end of March. The town, the village, and our attorneys are trying to finalize a memorandum of agreement on the water and sewer. Everybody's anxious to want to get that done as quickly as possible now. It should be somewhat easy because there is no requirements to do any bond issues. That was a big contention.
Yeah.
The other thing that's happened is that thanks to one of our board members, they reached out to the president of NYSEG. And I guess they're having an executive meeting today at NYSEG on the discussion of extending, going to the Public Service Commission for the gas plant. So I think,
Which we are bidding to have put in anyway.
right. The other thing is that we did receive one construction management proposal back. And that was from, I don't know if I guess I could say it, Jim Jordan's firm. Originally, I expected EDA to say, you've got to rebid that, because you only got one, we wanted three. Because we sent it to 12 firms, and because 3 of the firms said that they were just too busy, they said, well, we can consider it, letting you go ahead with hiring that firm, but we need it evaluated by either your engineering firm or your administrative firm, which is also Barton and Judas. Barton and Judas reviewed the entire document, sent me back 7 or 8 questions about their experience on this type of work. Jim Jordan sent back a response yesterday that seemed adequate for EDA. It was interesting because Martin and Judas says, if anything, their bid was a little low, which surprised me because I heard comments from some board members saying that he's really expensive. So I'm anticipating, and Nazim has been getting references, checking references, and that should be done by the end of the week, I would think.
Three or 4 references on Jim Jordan.
Yes, on his construction management experience, not on his design work. So hopefully we'll be able to send that to EDA, and they will actually approve a construction manager for our course. Because I don't know anything about construction.
This is the simplest construction you can do. We have somebody local, Dan Overfell, who's highly qualified to oversee the project. He did the entire Main Street project for the city. He did West Street when he wasn't having knee surgery or what. He's not a firm, it's just an individual. We'd have to be employed by us. But, if we have an issue, we might actually go to him. Because this is, this is straight, this is right up his alley. He knows this stuff backwards and forwards.
He used to be with the city?
City, retired from the city, and they did all new water sewer lines all the way up Main Street, and he was the clerk of the works on that project. So he's done a bunch of it. So anyway, just a thought. But Jordan's ready to go, and the state likes Jordan because it's a firm that's incorporated and bonded and all the other good stuff. End of story.
Okay, the last thing I have is that I was contacted by Foothills Executive Director yesterday, and they are wanting to sit down with me and start an earnest negotiation for getting on.
That'd be Dr. David Leahy.
They had a discussion yesterday between the Executive Director and Doc.
Okay. Great. Super. Anything else, Jody?
That's it.
What about the executive session? Do you want to skip that?
I'm going to skip that only in the sense that originally Foothills was going to come here and explain their financial concerns. They agreed that it's our decision as to what we want to be able to do because they owe us the money. And I said that they probably would still prefer us to go back and the deal that was done with the banks.
The 50% is ranges depending on which bank it was. So you're going to talk with them.
But I'm going to continue talking with them and see if we can. Originally, I sent them an email last week saying that I would actually pay us $100,000 back monthly basis for over a 5-year period to be about $1,667 a month. And that's what prompted them to say, well, we're willing to negotiate with you as to.
At least they're talking.
Yeah,
So you meet with them, and then if we think there's a need for an executive session, we can do that.
yeah, Cheryl was, again, saying, you take care of this, don't have them come to the board.
Right, I agree, yeah. I agree. By the way,
So that's where we are on that.
okay. Anything else?
I have nothing.
Do we have any public comment? Joe, do you have a public comment?
Margaret Burkett is also on the,
Okay,
on the thing. I don't know if she had something to say.
Margaret? Margaret, this is an opportunity for public comment. Are you there, Margaret? I think she's on that, right?
She's not muted, so she could talk if she wanted to.
Having no public comment, motion for adjournment.
So
Yeah, sorry, Chair. I did have a quick comment, not to keep you long. We do have a client alert that's coming out tomorrow about some New York State law changes that occurred in December and January. And I'll be available at the next meeting to go through them in more detail. And I look forward to seeing people at the NYEDC conference if you're all going next week. So have a nice day.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Margaret she wrote in the chat, she says she apologizes, she has no audio, but she has no comment. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So,
Motion to adjourn would be
what?
OCCR.
Yeah, you got it. The last page.
I can,
Are we ready?
yeah.
We'll
Sorry.
call the OCCRC board meeting on February 23rd. Call to order, roll call, Megan.
Joe Robinson is absent. David Rowley.
Here.
Jeffrey Lord.
here.
Tom Romeo.
Here.
Craig Gubsman is absent. Patricia Kennedy.
Here.
Jeff Joyner is absent. Andrew Marietta.
Here.
And Jim Stewart.
Here.
Okay, you have a quorum.
We will forego the chair's remarks, and we will go to the approval of the meeting minutes from the meeting of December 15th, 2022. Motion to approve.
So, second.
Second, Jeff, motion Tom. Any discussion on those meeting minutes? They're extensive. Having no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any new and unfinished business?
No.
Having no new and unfinished business, motion to adjourn.
So.
We are adjourned. We'd like to.